Hey guys, today I'll be reviewing the very powerful collection of short films collectively known as From Ground Zero, which was Palestine's submission for the 97th Academy Award for Best International Feature Film. 22 directors who were trapped in Gaza were tasked with recording a short film up to 7 minutes long. These 22 films capture the diversity and creativity that exists in the region. There was very different approaches to the creation of these films. Some are fictional narrative, others are documentary. There's animation and even experimentation. The overall purpose of these films is to change the narrative around the Palestinian people, whether it's seen as a negative security threat or a well-meaning but fetishized approach by progressives. In this video, I'm going to review the film From Ground Zero and give my take on how effective it has been in portraying life in Gaza at the moment. I will also look at how well it will do in the Oscar race and whether it has the chance to be Palestine's third success in the Best International Feature Film category. But that's enough of me for now. Let's roll and review that film. So if you're new to my channel, my name is Paul and I review the best world cinema, and I follow the race for Best International Feature Film, from countries selecting their submission to the final Oscar winner. From Ground Zero is a really effective and creative way utilising current technology to display the different lives that are happening right now during the war in Gaza. Here, it doesn't just focus on death, destruction, and dying screams. Instead, we see the day-to-day life, including the mundane, but also the comic. Yes, this tragedy exists, but there's more to them than just misery. With 22 short films, of course, some of them don't work. However, it's a really creative way of showing life in such a closed off and violent world, with many people are not responsible for this violence, but are yet suffering. However, we see the humanity, the community, and the personalities that live there. And it's probably best that I demonstrate this by referring to three of my favourite shorts within the film. Sorry Cinema, which is available on YouTube, is about a director who has made a film. He first grapples with the fact there are no cinemas to show it in Gaza because of the Hamas regime and their closing down of different thought processes. But then he's not able to leave Gaza because of the Israeli occupation, and therefore cannot go and travel with the film and go to different festivals and have that Q&A and audience experience. So now, in a state of war, he's establishing, what am I going to do? Am I going to continue making films? Is it right to make films and portray that suffering? And it's a fascinating short that I thought was also really beautiful. My other favourite is called Soft Skin, which focuses on young children who are having general conversations about life in Gaza, while they make the creative elements for stop motion graphics, which are also incorporated in the short film. These conversations feel really harsh because they're such young children. However, they're talking about the fact they have to write their names on their bodies in case they are bombed and killed, and therefore can be identified. And that's heartbreaking. No child should have to put up with that. However, the collection of shorts manages to balance out the different moods of the short, so there's some positivity as well, including the short called No, where a filmmaker is looking for music in Gaza, and she finds this band, and we hear this sort of positivity that despite the hell that they're living through now and the suffering, they have hopes for the future of peace and reconciliation. So people in Gaza won't have to live like this forever. And while that does feel a little bit naive considering the extremity of what's happening in Gaza, it does provide a counterbalance to some of the more death-orientated and misery shorts. And I think that adds to the tempo of the collection of films. I think this could have easily been 2 hours of misery porn. Instead, it's lightly balanced between the different shorts, doing different things, whether it's queuing for bread, recycling water, or even a comic who's desperate to perform stand-up but can't because of a bombing. It manages to have different tones and themes, so it doesn't feel all one-note misery, which often is the case in documentation of war zones. I think there is some connection with Forsama, which is a documentary film about Aleppo and the violence that was happening in Syria at the time. I think in one of the most complex political situations in the world, this film shies away from making grand statements about the politics of the Middle East, two-state solutions, one-state solution, or whatever it might be. Instead, it's focusing on the people, which is much more important than the states. And it's about the treatment of people it's really focused on. And it's using handheld technology to tell these stories, which big camera crews are just not available in Gaza for obvious reasons. So we're able to communicate their stories through technology, telling those stories without resorting to the binaries that often dominate Western discussions of the Middle East. While I do have some reservations about some of the shorts, I really thought it was such effective storytelling, and I got a great sense of what it's like to live in Gaza. So I would therefore give From Ground Zero 4 stars. And this film is Palestine's official submission for the 97th Academy Award for Best International Feature Film. But how well will it do in the Oscar race? Moving aside the quality and innovation used in this collection of shorts, I feel the success of this film will depend on the politics of voters. The Oscar voters are much more international, so you're more likely to have pro-Palestine points of view who, once they've seen this film, if they're very moved by the Palestinian cause, will put it highly in their voting ballots. However, as we found in Cannes this year, it was rejected from being played because of its political overtones, although I don't think it's that political. So you'll have a group of voters who would not want to vote for it because they may be more pro-Israel or on the side or whatever it might be. However, if it's going to make that final 15 shortlist, I imagine it will be sympathy to the Palestinian cause that pushes it over. No Other Land, surprisingly, was not selected as Palestine's official submission. And this probably is in part because it's made with an Israeli journalist as well as a Palestinian one, based in the West Bank and Jerusalem, dealing with issues of the settlers and all those complex issues that are happening in that part of the world. And that's starting to win Best Documentary awards. I have a feeling From Ground Zero, it would not be as successful as No Other Land, which has probably got the momentum. So it's a shame Palestine didn't submit it. However, I can kind of understand because of the Israeli contribution to the documentary. Palestine has submitted 16 films in the Oscars and have managed to secure 2 nominations. These are for Paradise Now and Omar, both dealing with the division with Israel and Palestine, borders, and also the violence that often ensued because of the conflict. These submissions are also highly regarded, with the director, for example, Eli Suleiman, who received a European Film Award Lifetime Achievement recently. And it is no surprise they are the 39th most successful country at the Oscars, which is equal with North Macedonia, China, and Lebanon. And for a country that size that is going through such turmoil and has so many issues they have to fight, it's a really good achievement to be doing so well. I would highly recommend for people to check out the other Palestinians' submissions that they've put forward to the Oscars. I have seen 17 of the submissions for the Best International Feature Film Oscar, and I would currently rank the Palestinian one, From Ground Zero, in 7th place. I think it's a very good and moving film, but I wouldn't put it in the top 5 nominations. I don't think it works as well as some of the other films it's in competition with. We will see about the current situation in Gaza and how it will impact on the politics of Oscar voters and whether that pushes From Ground Zero over the line and gives them a shortlisting. If you've seen Ground Zero, I would love to hear from you, so please do put in the comments what your thought and which of the shorts was your favourite. And if you want to see more content related to the Best International Feature Film Oscar and world cinema more generally, please do like this video, share it wide, and subscribe to my channel, Global Film Paul.